Hello and welcome to Talk Lit Get Hit, a podcast where we read questionable books recommended to us by social media and talk shit about them.
We're Bridget, Erin and Laura, three friends who haven't mentally progressed since high school, where we bonded over a love of music and books, but mainly Twilight.
Brace yourself for a heady cocktail of somewhat highbrow and incredibly lowbrow ramblings about all the books the internet loves and our journey to figure out why.
Hello and welcome to the May episode of Talk Lit Get Hit. If you're following us on Instagram and TikTok, you may already know the book we've selected as our next read. This month, we could not resist the pull of dipping our toes once more into the Emily Henry literary universe and venturing to our happy place. In case that was all too vague for you, the book we are covering this month is none other than Happy Place by BookTok's Lord and Saviour, Emily Henry. Before we begin, as always, let's catch up a bit. How have your months been?
I was just thinking about this before. I don't think I've done a great deal in April, except for reading. I've read too many books this month.
Too many.
Too many.
You're the baby bear.
Too many by Erin's standards. Erin's
porridge
lucky to
is
read
too hot.
one a month. I think I'm up to four or five this month, and that's just too many for my tiny brain. But I did go to a show last night. I went and saw The Used and Papa Roach, so I had a nice little emo night. And they were really good. What about you guys? What did you do in April?
Not really very much. I'm back at work, which is very sad and unfortunate after the holidays. But other than that, nothing. I went and saw Curtis Connor last week, and that was very good.
Is he a singer?
No, he's a YouTube comedian.
Oh, okay.
I feel relieved.
The name
I didn't
sounds
know
familiar.
who that was either.
Yeah. It's been a quiet month all around, I guess. The atmosphere in here is electric right now.
We were on a high before we started.
I got stage fright after we listened to Supermassive Black Hole.
And Fat Man Scoop. This is actually the first episode we've recorded in person since our first ill-fated episode all those months ago.
Yeah, last April.
Yeah, last
That's what we
April.
did last April.
Yeah.
That is
true.
exciting.
Yeah, it's super fun. The vibes are actually really great today.
Yeah. I wasn't joking. It is electric.
But did you do anything this month?
No, not really. I had a pretty quiet month as well. Really used the public holidays to do a lot of nothing. We did go camping over the Anzac Day. We made it an extra long weekend. It was really nice to have no reception, and because I'm obsessed with using my phone, but I wish that I wasn't. I'm just like have this utter compulsion to pick it up and just scroll and do nothing. And I really found once I had no reception and like that option was removed, I was like, I'm free. So it was actually quite good.
Did you have like phantom pains where you like kept picking it up and being like, oh wait,
no,
for a little bit? Or
I actually didn't, but I had that a little bit. It made me feel like a bit of a loser, but because the sites we were staying on were unpowered sites and I didn't really have a way of charging my phone. So when the battery ran out and I couldn't take photos of stuff, I was like, yeah. And that made me feel a bit like a typical, I don't know, person of the internet. But no, it was really nice. I had a good time.
That sounds really nice.
I was going to bring attention to Bridget's major book achievement of the month, of the decade, dare I say. She has, in fact, finished reading
Les Mis. And I did it in a month too.
Yeah,
really good. Well, my original plan was to read it in 2 weeks and do 83 pages a day. And then I got busy. So I think, but I think I only did read it in like 15 like sittings. That's pretty good.
That's insane.
But other than that, I actually read 24 books this month.
In April?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Maybe.
That's checked.
Yeah, I just read because I thought I didn't read as many as last month. But I did. I read more. So one of them
You
was
also read 24 last month?
No, I read 17 last month.
What the shit?
And I read 24 this month.
Jesus Christ.
And less audiobooks than I usually. They were mostly those books as well. On the ground.
For those not watching, not in the room with us, Bridget's just pointed to a large stack of mostly library books.
It's like toddler size.
Those
it's as tall as my
not
dog.
watching, everybody but us.
For those of you following along at home, it's a library stack. I did remember the only other thing worth sharing is I went to the engagement party of one of my sister's friends, and I caught the bus to Brisbane that morning. And through a very sad event, I was stuck on the bus for 4 hours, and it was just far too long to be on a bus for.
How long is the usual trip?
An hour and a half.
I can imagine the smell of that bus.
Oh, and
you were sitting next to somebody too. So
yeah,
like
it was a full bus. Oh. Everyone had someone next to them.
And a baby.
Yes, there was one person with a young baby and a young child, and the baby just kept like crying, and someone was watching TikToks without headphones.
Oh no.
And there was like
one of my students,
someone at the back of the bus who knew the bus driver and kept yelling down the front like, "Oi, John, what's going on? John, when are we moving?" Like, bro, he doesn't know.
If John knew, he would have told you already.
Exactly. And because he'd been driving and we'd been sitting for so long, he had to take a fatigue break.
Oh, true.
And then we had to go to the airport first because everybody had planes to catch, and it was just a whole shit show. By the time I got to Brisbane, I was supposed to be at the engagement party already, and I didn't want to go anymore.
Yeah, fair.
In the end, I only stayed at the engagement party for like 4 hours, and then I was like, fuck this, I'm going home.
That's a good stint. I feel like I normally say 2 hours. I'm like, 2 hours is a healthy healthy amount of time.
You maybe could have left earlier.
I think you could have left way earlier, Erin. Wow. 4 hours is a long time.
Yeah. I went back to the hotel room and ate some chicken tenders and went to bed.
As you
should. Did you watch Laguna Beach?
I did not.
You should have.
We had a great time watching Laguna Beach. Yeah, it must have been a really quiet April then. Maybe because we had so many public holidays, there was less time to do stuff.
I feel like I'm always really quiet around this time of year. Even though there are so many public holidays and I could be going away, it just feels like this is the kind of first extended break you get after the start of the year is just so busy.
Yeah.
And I think you've sort of lost the excitement for the new year. And it's getting a bit colder and like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nice to stay inside, I think, reading...
Well, I thought I read a lot, but you saying 24 hurts my feelings a bit.
That's insane. I'm here like I've read too many books. I read 4 or 5.
You know what's annoying though? I'm still behind on my goal. I just can't catch up. I'm still 6 books behind, but at the start of the holidays, I was 17 books behind.
That's
good. I just can't catch up.
That is absolutely unhinged.
Actually sick to my core. So I read Happy Place. And I read another book that we are covering on an imminent podcast episode.
Ooh, so mysterious.
I know.
If you want to know, you should find our Goodreads profiles and follow us.
Oh, yeah, we can tell you, actually.
Yeah.
And as a primer, I listened to You and Me on Vacation or The People You Meet on Vacation, depending where you live. And I really liked that. So another Emily Henry book under my belt. Now, all of them.
Your belt is full until you get a new belt.
Chock full of Emily.
Ugh.
Yeah, a bit gross.
Yeah. Sorry, Emily, if you're listening.
Sorry. And I did actually, I had quite a few good books. I listened to an audiobook of The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. That was like a historical, drama. And I read Dear Dolly. On love, life, and friendship. Nah, it's like a Dolly Alderton. I wish it was about the sheep.
Oh, that one. I know. Yeah. Yes.
And that was really good. It was very beautiful.
That's what Dolly the sheep.
Oh, God.
I read The Planes, Trains, and All the Fields, ARC. And I also read a book called Young Jane Young, which was by Gabrielle Zevin. I don't know, but the author of Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it was really good. I really liked it.
Is that older than Tomorrow?
Yeah. It turns out she's written quite a few books. And I don't know if you've ever seen a photo of her, but she looks very, I thought she was in her 20s, but I think she's into her 40s.
Oh, okay.
And so I just assumed it was a debut novel. But yeah, she's written quite a few.
Drop the skincare routine, queen.
I know. Get on TikTok. The girlies will love you. Ladies.
Laura.
Before we get into it, before we dive on in, shall we share, as always, our initial thoughts, expectations, hopes, and dreams heading into this book?
I had no idea what this was about, except that the main love story would be about former lovers. The title Happy Place kind of made me think it was going to be like a vacation story, but other than that, I had no thoughts, just vibes. I liked Beach Read, so I thought I would like this one. And I started reading it after Bridget did, and Bridget posted a picture of her crying in our group chat. And I thought, mate, if Bridget's crying, I'm going to be crying. Like, Bridget doesn't cry as easily as I think I do in books. So based on that, I think my expectation was quite high.
I was so excited. I've enjoyed all of Emily Henry's books so far. Every review I read or watched on TikTok was so positive, and nearly all of them mentioned that it was like reading a Taylor Swift song. So, I mean, I'm in. So,
yeah, I was quite excited to read this book. I do have in my notes here going in blind, but I know at some point, I remember at some point I read the synopsis and was like, oh, that sounds pretty good actually. And I didn't mind Beach Read, and then I quite liked Book Lovers, and then The People We Meet on Vacation, I liked it more. And so I kind of was on a bit of an Emily Henry bender. So I was like, yeah, on the up.
She's a recovering Emily Henry addict.
And I think like I was surprised by how excited I was, because there's definitely certain things about her writing or like whatever that doesn't quite sit right with me. But yeah, I was keen anyway. No, I hadn't seen too much about it actually. I'd seen pretty mixed reviews. I'd seen people saying it's really different to her other books. So that made me want to read it more, to be honest.
I saw a lot of people say you either love it or you hate it as well. I did see somebody say this morning that if you don't love it, then you've never been mentally ill or something.
Oh, God.
And
this
I was
is
like, oh,
people
calm
who
down.
say that about A Court of Silver Flames or whatever it is. No, it's not because Nesta's depressed. Nesta's an annoying bitch.
I don't think that like a comment like that is just the kind of comment you make when you don't have anything more insightful to say.
Ooh, that's deep.
Yep, I said it. But I do agree. Like I did sort of think, when I finished reading it, I thought I really liked that, and I thought that it aligned more closely with a certain sort of type of book or certain like themes and content that I normally like to read, and I already sort of thought, I wonder if Bridget and Aaron will like this as much as me.
I think the only other thing I have to say about expectations before we get into the rest of it is I really enjoyed the like lead up to this and like waiting for it to drop and seeing people on the Bookstagram get their advanced copies, and the cover's really cute. So I liked the hype building around that, and like Bridget went and picked up copies for herself and me, and that was really cute, and Laura went on a whole journey to try and find her copy.
Oh my God, yeah, I didn't even tell you about the journey.
Talk about that, because this book technically came out on April 25, but that's a public holiday here in Australia, so it came out on the 26th for us.
Yeah.
And everyone had to rush to buy it.
Oh, good Lord. What a mission. It was really not that stressful, but I thought maybe I could get it before work because I was so excited, and I thought I'd get that golden hour morning sunlight. And so I did go to QBD in the Maya Centre first, and they didn't have it. And when they checked the stock, all their other stores had a copy, but their courier had not arrived. They were really nice, and so I thought I'd probably go back there anyway if I couldn't find it. But I did go to Big W and Target as well, and they didn't even have it out. And actually, Big W was in a state of disarray, so I won't be going back there. I eventually got my copy in the afternoon, and I did get a free pin.
Yeah, you got the cuter of the free gifts, I think.
We got the book pouch, which still struggling to think of what to do with that. I was trying to think of the last time when I don't know, I wasn't like super hyped, but the last time I was excited for a book to be released, and I think it was honestly for the last Harry Potter book. I don't remember any other book that I've been like excited about the release date, except for maybe Twilight, because I think Twilight, that was after Harry Potter, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think mine was I eagerly anticipated Dave Grohl's autobiography. But before that, I think the last one I can remember is the Twilight books.
It must have been Breaking Dawn. I can't think of another book that I knew the release date of and was waiting for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, then this is not the place for you to be. Likewise, if you don't like rude words, then it's best if you proceed with caution.
Harriet and Wynne are the perfect couple. They go together like bread and butter, gin and tonic, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Every year for the past decade, they have left behind their lives to drink far too much wine and soak up the sea air with their favourite people in the world.
Except this year, they are lying through their teeth. Harriet and Wynne broke up 6 months ago, and they still haven't told anyone.
This is the last time they'll all be together here. The cottage is for sale, and since they can't bear to break their best friends' hearts, they'll fake it for 1 more week. But how can you pretend to be in love and get away with it in front of the people who know you best?
Alrighty, as always, struggling to figure out how to dive into this, but should we just start? What?
Just so you all know, we have no idea what we're doing. And we always don't know how to start discussions.
I have no clue.
I love it.
Once we're started, we're fine. It's just the starting.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing.
I'm just going.
It's really scary.
I'm frightened.
Let's go by doing the characters one by one and seeing where we land.
Okay, starting with Harriet.
Harriet. Fuck, cut it out. I'll start. I was incredibly relieved that of all the Emily Henry characters or female main characters, I did not think that Harriet had tiny girl syndrome.
I'd agree with that.
I quite liked her.
I had no problem with Harriet, which is incredible because
we do be having problems.
Yeah.
We do hate a lot of female characters.
Actually, not just female.
Relieving to not feel like a misogynist, though.
Yeah, we were a bit worried for a bit there.
And I would say that it was really refreshing to read an Emily Henry female main character that was not a writer or some kind of creative. And I thought Harriet's personality was a little bit different in that it wasn't just so like boisterous and like argumentative and like, although she did definitely have banter, I liked that she was a bit more of a seemingly introverted character.
Yeah, she was definitely a different type of character to what Emily Henry usually writes. I mean, I say that having only read the one book. I don't know. I don't know. I still haven't decided if I actually liked this book or not. So I'm curious to see where I land by the end of the pod. I liked Harriet for the same reasons that you mentioned. I think I also found her frustrating because she was holding so much back. I don't know, because she had opinions and she had things to say, but she chose not to say them and like suffer in silence, but then got annoyed when other people did the same thing.
It's never fun to read a martyr.
Yeah, and that was so much of her vibe, I thought. And to be honest, I thought that was Wynn's vibe as well. They were both like, oh, I'm too much for you to handle, or your life is better without me, so I'll do the right thing and I'll leave you.
What if I'm the bad guy?
Yeah, and just it was a lot of it. It was too much of that for my taste, I think, especially when there was nothing really that wrong with either of them. It's not like any of them was doing, or either of them was doing anything terrible that would make you go, nah, you really got to leave that person for the greater good.
I think that's what made it sadder and probably harder, because there wasn't like a breakdown in anything. It was just distance and I guess, you know, family problems and career opportunities. That's maybe what made it sadder, because there wasn't a big fight or there wasn't like a betrayal or something. Because of the circumstances of their life, they had to go their different ways. Probably wasn't handled in that way.
Yeah, I think I really understood why they had to break up, and I think it made a lot of sense. I think I struggled to understand why they both thought that they were doing the quote-unquote right thing for the other person all the time. But yeah, I think it was right for them to probably break up when they did. What did you think of Harriet, Bridget?
I liked Harriet, and I didn't really see a lot of myself in her. And I think if I was friends with somebody like her in real life, I'd probably tell her to get her shit together. I wouldn't tell her I'd think it, but
I'm like, you've never told me to get my shit together.
I don't think you need to get your shit together.
I was saying to Laura before that so often when Harriet was talking about everything wrong with her, I was like, ooh. Ooh. What do you mean you're repressing everything?
Oh, yeah, I do feel like you need to get some things out.
Thanks, Bridget. I'm glad
but we've covered this many times, I think. Like in, what was that other book we talked about?
Yeah.
Whichever book that
She was like, repress.
And we were like, no, Erin.
The first episode of the pod.
Yeah.
Laying our souls
not
bare.
what you do. But I think I liked her more I liked her, but I liked seeing her in her friend group and in her relationship with Win, and the use of the flashbacks was good too. And I think that normally with the Emily Henry book, there's not that many characters, and this one was nice to see more characters, and just see that friend dynamic, because it's normally just the two going back and forth.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I have lots to say about that when we get there, because I had feelings and I saw very strong feelings on the internet that conflicted with mine. So I'm really keen to chat about it. Win, I love that name, but
I like the name.
One of the first notes I wrote is that the name Win sounds very like soft and like almost feminine to me. And in my mind, it conjured up Ben Whishaw. I don't know if you know that actor.
I know the one.
Let me Google.
He was in Bright Star. Do you remember being obsessed with that one? Or
Me?
Skyfall? Yeah, I thought we both liked it. It was about John Keats. Oh. Must have just been me. All I can think of
I
is
only know him
James
from
Bond.
James Bond,
Yeah. But I was like, I immediately know this is not the vibe, but now that's what I have in my head.
It's too late.
One of my second notes about Win is blonde again. Emily, stop.
Is that what you pictured for him?
Well, only like as a knee-jerk reaction to the name, and then from there I really struggled to like pull back from that, because in my brain I was like, I know it's not right, but the name was like, I think because it was something you don't hear every day, and then I was like, just cemented this to it, and then I kind of pictured him as like, when he was blonde, I was like, oh, he's some sort of Skarsgård like hybrid. I don't know, like he's got a beard. I really latched onto that.
I think the use of the word blonde is really confusing, because you can have like dark shades of blonde.
Yeah.
But when I read the word blonde, I always just imagine like platinum Kendall blonde.
I was imagining like golden hair, like freckly brown skin, like surfer kind of vibes, even though he's not from the beach.
I don't know that I liked Win. I don't think there was a lot of substance to him. But it could also just be that it annoyed me that he kept calling her name all the time. And it just reminded me of old mate in The Fault in Our Stars calling her Hazel Grace all the time. And it just, I only made 2 notes on this book. And it was, there's a weird obsession with smells. And Win calling her name all the time reminds me of The Fault in Our Stars.
But some people are like that. Some people do use your names a lot.
It's ironic because I am that person. So maybe this is just a book of me hating everything about myself.
Oh, Win, yeah, I'm with you. Although I did like him and I liked their romance, like overall I had positive feelings about him. I do think he's probably one of the weakest Emily Henry men. And I think it was just because I couldn't get a clear gauge on him. Like I think all of the details about him were either vague or conflicting. And I thought it was interesting because of the way the book's told, where they have already been together. We start in this like kind of intimate moment of knowing so much about him, but then all the details that trickle out sort of in reverse, I found like quite confusing. Like he's a shy rancher, but he's also like a craftsman. And then also he like has a like host of ladies come in and out of his room during college. And then like he seems quite shy, but then he sometimes says some really like flirty, bold things to her. And so I was just like struggling. I don't know. I just couldn't get a good gauge on him, because if his character is like, I was sort of seeing him as this like underconfident, shy, soft, like confident out of his skin with her kind of character. And I really liked that. But I still just felt like I wasn't sure. Like I still couldn't figure out if that was actually who he was meant to be.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you guys liked the romance, because I felt like so much of their romance was like told rather than shown. She speaks so much about how she likes the little things he does for her, and you're told that they're in love, but you never really see that they're in love because you start through flashbacks and stuff. There's none of that, like, I don't know, getting together tension to start with. And when they start almost getting together again, I don't know, it lacked a lot of like tension for me there, because it felt like, oh, of course they're getting back together.
I think I prefer reading about people who have been together for a while and just seeing how their like little piece of life is, and like the things that make them, I don't know, a partnership or whatever. I do like, obviously I like it in books when they take forever to get there, like a slow burn, but sometimes it's just a nice change to have the breaking point and you see where they got to and where they're going to go from there. And I think it helps you realize all of the things that they would be saving and all the things they would be losing if they were to break up.
I think it was the same for me. I just kept picturing like, God, what if it was me? And I just this feeling of like knowing someone so like intimately, and then like all of my notes for the chapters pretty much up until like, I don't know, over halfway through when I just gave up, it was like they want each other so much, like they still want each other so badly. And like I really enjoyed reading this kind of like yearning that was on the page, and like the tension was that they like clearly are still in love with each other, and there's clearly been some sort of like communication breakdown, and like then the tension was, well, what went wrong, and like, is it for the best that they're not together, or will they end up together in the end? And so I was like, even though it wasn't, that was one criticism I read, was that one person on Goodreads was like, when it finally got to the sex scene, like it wasn't even good, like all that build up for like nothing.
Oh,
and
dear.
I was kind of like,
as if that's the whole point of the book.
I just was sort of thinking like, I didn't expect this to be, I thought it was a bit more than that.
I agree. I think what you're saying, Laura, I was thinking the same thing about like, well, how can two people who just fit together so well, how do they just stop? And I didn't quite know, because at the start you don't know how they broke up and what all of the ins and outs of that were. But I think this quote on page 246 was, I think, why I found it so sad. And it says, how can love end up like that? I asked thickly, how is it possible to love someone so much and have it all just go away? The thought of resenting Win like that is torture. The thought of him resenting me is even worse, of holding him back, keeping him from what he wants. And obviously that's coming from her parents who stayed together even though there's no love left in their relationship. But how do people get to that point?
Yeah.
They've worked together for 8 years.
I liked the like emotional ups and downs of her like grappling with the breakup. I don't know. I think I struggled to see how they quote unquote fit so well together. I think they had a bit of like banter, but I don't know that I got the relationship.
I see where you're coming from with that, because it is like you say, like we don't actually really get to see them. We just have to be able to roll with the idea that they were great together and that they do love each other, because we don't ever see them really like functioning in that space together. And we see the beginning of their flirty relationship and we're told that they progressed through life together and it was all G. But like
I think if maybe there was maybe like a prologue or something where you maybe see a bit of them happy before you see them sad, maybe I would get it more, but I don't know.
There was something else I was going to say about Harriet as well. And I just like in terms of when we were talking about, oh, I don't understand how they got to this point, it really kind of like broke my heart, and I resonated with Harriet a lot when she was talking about when she was trying to be easy, when Win was like grieving his dad and like struggling with his own depression, and like she just wanted to be like fun or like non-committal or like just whatever like could accommodate whatever emotions he needed to be feeling. And he misread that or like took that as she didn't care, like she didn't love him, she wasn't interested in him. But I really I felt really like it really resonated with me, the way that really she was relatable. Like the way she created that scenario.
She doesn't want to create any waves when when he's drowning.
Yeah. Oh.
I thought that this had probably one of the strongest emotional motivations for characters.
Yeah, definitely.
And I wonder as well if that's because it wasn't enemies to lovers, because the thing that I feel like we often struggle with enemies to lovers is that they're just like, they've just had some sort of juvenile misunderstanding. And I just really liked that we didn't have to go through the whole like, yeah, my dad like was mean to me when I was a kid kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, he is actually a good guy. Should we talk about the friends?
Yes. I kind of wish the story was about Sabrina and Path. I liked them.
I loved them too.
I really liked them.
Particularly Path. I thought he was so fun.
I want to know more about their luxurious life.
Any man who brings an air horn to a getaway is my kind of man.
That's what I was
Wasn't
thinking.
it an app? Air horn
Yeah,
app?
like a ba-ba-ba-ba at all times.
I was imagining
All
more
day.
of like a
Oh, I was thinking party
because it
air
was like,
horn.
hurry
Yeah.
up, let's go.
Yeah, I thought it was like party time. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah, I was
No,
thinking
I-
get lit air.
Yeah,
horn.
yeah.
I like that better. I was imagining.
Like
Get up.
boat sounds.
Yeah,
Ma.
that's exactly what I thought. I don't think I would have wanted to read a whole book about them. I don't think I don't wish they were the
Because
Yeah.
they would have been the typical Henry.
Yeah.
Sabrina and Path would have been the more typical Emily Henry story of like where they are denying how they feel about each other and they hook up and then they're seemingly like, oh my God, don't. Oh, but I love him, but I don't. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to marry you, but I will.
yeah. Which would still be, it is a fun read and I really enjoyed them as side characters. So when I was looking at the 1-star reviews on Goodreads,
A good place to start.
yeah, I always weigh up the 5 stars against the 1 stars. But a lot of the criticisms leveled at this book were about the friendship group. And they were saying like that they were annoying or unrealistic or juvenile. And like it was funny because it was a criticism that I have had, I think even about Beach Read, I said that I often feel like excluded from fictional friendships and that I can't get in on the in-jokes. But I felt so involved in this friendship group. And I really found it to be true to the way that me and my friends speak to each other. And I wonder, I just wonder where that comes from because I really felt like they were a very rich and like vividly drawn group of friends.
What I think is interesting about this book is it's written about older people in their 30s who have grown up together. And maybe
Ding, ding, ding.
maybe if you are, freshly out of school and, you don't have that group of friends or even you just haven't had that life experience, maybe you won't have the same, appreciation. Because I thought exactly the same as you. I thought they were so realistic. And I liked how it wasn't just girls, it was girls and the boys, but it wasn't like us and them. She was friends with Path, just the same as she was with Sabrina and Cleo. And then Kimmy came along and she was friends with Kimmy.
Oh my God, I loved Kimmy.
Yeah.
Kimmy was fun.
I really liked them. And I liked the growth that they took when they've realized that it's time to grow up, basically. We can't just be.
I think the friendship group was really realistic, like you guys were saying. And I think what people may perceive as really childish conflict is also realistic with people you've been friends with for that long. Because inevitably when you have friends, there are things that you let go, like things that annoy you that you let slide and you're like, doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about it. It's not a big deal. But when you've been friends with someone for so long and those things have happened that whole time, naturally they build up and they do come crashing out, even if they are like really childish things. It's natural. It's part of any relationship. And just because they're 30-year-olds doesn't make that any less likely to happen. Like that's just how friendship is.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the friendship element of this book. I even have a note that says that I enjoyed reading characters at this stage in their life, and I think particularly in regards to this friendship element and trying to like reclaim glory days and the things that connected you when you were 10 years younger. It was an element of the story that was like really resonating with me.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great. I thought the kind of like dual romance of like this the friendship and like there was obviously tension brewing like between Sabrina and Cleo, and like everybody did seem to have like their own secrets. It was like the scene where the three female best friends were like all having it out had me crying like almost as much as Wyn and Harriet's like emotional moments.
I was curious, what parts were you crying at?
I was
just
crying
most of the end of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was really crying towards the ending as well. I wonder if I don't think I wrote anything because I was crying.
The bit that made me the saddest was when she was like talking to her mum and like she told her parents that she was quitting surgery or quitting her work, and her mum like had this big D&M with her like how she didn't want her to give up her life for someone and that emotions are fleeting and blah blah blah. And I thought that was really sad, but I also thought the like journey she went on to be closer to her family was also really sad. But I didn't cry.
I cried at that bit.
Yeah.
When her mum was like, it was never about the medicine or whatever she said.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And then like there was a little, just like some little throwaway lines really triggered me and broke my heart. Like when her mum is like helping her move to, I don't know, wherever Wyn lives.
Montana.
Yeah. Her mum's helping her move to Montana and then starts like sharing stories about her childhood and like dressing up as witches and making potions in the forests of Virginia. I thought like that was just such a sweet detail, and it's such a special moment to get to have those kinds of connections with your mum. So I thought I really liked both of their families, and I like especially any of the lines about Hank really got me. I'm like, doing it now. Oh my God.
Yeah, Hank was sad.
Something that really made me sad was when Wyn and Harriet went to a shop that sells sauces, syrups, and oils, and they made pancakes for Gloria's birthday, Wyn's mother. And when she tasted the syrup, she said, "Tastes like camping." Then she got choked up because the camping was something that she and Hank used to do. But then Harriet says, "I understood then that the immense honor it is to hurt like she does, to have loved someone so much that the taste of maple syrup can make you cry and laugh at the same time." It made me really sad.
Yeah, and it reminded me of that quote from Andrew Garfield when he talks about his mum dying and how it means so much that he can grieve her so like openly and stuff.
That quote you just said sort of jogged my memory. Like I think the things that did make me cry were not necessarily sentiments about like Wyn and Harriet and how they felt about each other, but they were sort of like more general statements about like love and I don't know, that kind of thing. It's like,
yeah, I feel like it covered more than just romantic love. It was love in a family, love in a friendship group, and the romantic love as well. I really liked the friendship group because going on holidays is something that me and my friends have done, other than you guys, sorry. My other friends.
Ouch.
We've always tried to like have like little trips away, like to the mountains or to the beach, and that was through uni. And now because we're older and we don't all live in the same place, it's just a lot harder to organize those things. Reading this just really made me think of when I was like, 21, 22, and we just went to a dam for a weekend, or we went to like the hinterlands for a weekend, and you didn't have like a job you had to worry about. You didn't have to be back, Sunday night, get ready for your adult job and just things like that. And it's sad now that we're all older and we can't do that as often, but it sort of also made me inspired to like organize one.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Which is good.
Because the three of us have obviously spoken about doing a little getaway at the end of the year. And this, especially the scene where Harriet comes downstairs about to catch her flight home and Cleo and Sabrina have both made like breakfast or whatever.
Yeah.
It just made me so excited for our little getaway at the end of the year and how much fun it will be like cohabitating for a couple of days.
Yeah. Memory making. I really liked that element of it.
And the scene when they're like in the pool and like three of them are like trying to stand on that floaty device and the rest of them are playing poker and stuff. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I really like Sabrina. She loves a reminisce, and God, do we three love a reminisce. God.
And you know she has a Google Doc.
Yeah.
Girly after our own heart.
Yeah, what a queen.
She would fit right in. Oh, my God, remember in high school when we were in grade 10 in B2 and we said this? Why, yes, I do.
Why, yes, I also have never moved on.
We speak about this every week and I will continue.
But I think also Sabrina does a really good job and like holds such a heavy burden of wanting to keep everyone together when she's so used to everything falling apart. And so I really liked Sabrina's emotional journey as well. While it was kind of similar to what Harriet went through in the sense that she had to learn, A, to let stuff go, and B, that like relationships aren't quite as flimsy as maybe she thought they were. I just thought it also made sense with the character that they had written her to be, when she loves rules and control so much that she has to learn how to not control something, and that she can't control all these people, but they're still going to love her anyway.
And I really, again, like really resonated with her character when her and Cleo were having it out, and she was like, if I didn't organize these things, like we'd never see each other.
Yeah.
If I didn't follow up and then like send the follow up again in 2 weeks, like I'd never hear from you.
Yeah.
I was like, interesting.
You and me both, queen. I liked Sabrina.
Some people really hated her on Goodreads, but I thought she was a hero.
I'm curious what there is to hate about her.
Slay.
Was she considered like
Control
a
freak,
dictator?
bossy, yeah. Bitch.
Yeah, guys, come and have the best time ever at my rich dad's house.
Yeah.
For free.
Where me and my fiance are paying for most things. Like, I understand the drama around the tattoo. I love Path because I'm also always suggesting matching tattoos. But the drama...
How many times have those words been spoken?
Too many. But the drama when she's, like, set up everything for the tattoo and everyone's like, no, we're not doing it. I felt so bad for her because she'd obviously put so much money and so much thought into doing all this stuff, and they didn't... I get where Cleo was coming from because, yes, you can't just spend your whole life reliving the past, but there was also a real lack of, like, appreciation for how much effort she did put into it.
I guess they were all done with it at this point. Like, maybe it had become a bit commonplace, like this extravagance that she puts on year after year.
Yeah.
And they were like...
The 4-foot-long charcuterie board.
Oh, the food. I know you guys... off the books were saying earlier that you couldn't quite picture this place, but I think this was like I could really quite clearly picture this setting, I think. And especially the descriptions around like food, I was beside myself. I was like, hot chips, lobster rolls, never had one, sounds pretty good. Beer. Or then they were like, oh yeah, we'll have a little rosé, a little savvy bee. Ooh, maybe we'll have some charcuterie.
Savvy bee.
Then I have this like on page, first chapter, love the Vermont, Maine setting. Some of my favorite books are set here. Love non-greasy America. And I do think, I can only think of 2 books, but I really like reading about cold climate, beach America.
I love a cold climate and I love a beach. So
I could picture the town quite clearly, I think. I struggled with the house because sometimes it seemed really like old school, and then Sabrina or someone would describe it differently and it sounded really modern, and I just wasn't sure what the house looked like.
when they talked about the pool that I pictured was the pool in Wild Child.
Oh, yeah.
When they jump off the cliff. That's the pool I pictured for some weird reason.
Who are we?
No, I was kind of picturing something adjacent to that too, I reckon. And I get what you're saying, because I initially was picturing like a big sort of old money lake house.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, at the beach. And there's a pool. And I think they said at some point something about like just random additions that had been chucked on.
Yeah.
And like things like the cellar and the fancy door, and like not all of the house was maintained. It was still like, although expensive, like a bit ramshackle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Still had its charm.
I do have a thing here that says that I'm very grateful that although Harriet is a doctor, we haven't been overwhelmed with like medical like weave-ins. Like I reckon if it was an Ali Hazelwood book or something, it would have been like I got straight to dissecting the situation. We were going to have to do some serious CPR on our friendship or something like that.
There were the bits, though, where she was like, I knew what the blah, blah, blah did, but it didn't mean I knew how to handle it. Like,
just casually was like, hippocampus.
Yeah. Yeah, we all know what that is.
Harriet's parents, do we have much to say about them?
I just think they're very sad.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about them apart from the fact that that bit at the end with the mum really broke my heart, the text from her mum. I feel like they made her motivations really clear. Yeah. And I hated that even when she was like overcoming those feelings of like inadequacy and obligation to them, they were still like, it's not too late to change your mind. And they like were really resistant to hearing her for a while.
I think it's hard because they were obviously like hedging all their bets on her and they wanted to see her succeed in the way that they never could. And that's a hard thing for, I think, anyone to go through.
I thought this bit, I found her family dynamic really sad as well.
Yeah.
And just how much pressure she put on herself to please them with her career choice. And then when she finally admitted to herself that she hates it, she doesn't want to do it. And she said it's not what she pictured. But honestly, I'm not sure I ever bothered to picture it. And then she said, I imagined giving relieved family members good news in the hospital waiting room. And I pictured my own parents' happiness and pride, their faces out in the crowd at graduation, their adoring notes at the foot of the family Christmas card. I pictured a house with air conditioning that always worked and doors that stayed open and long dinners at nice restaurants with everyone laughing, pink-cheeked. I imagined downtime, thoughtful gifts for my parents, the family vacations we'd never taken, their mortgage paid off. I imagined all their hard work finally repaid, all their sacrifices not only compensated but rewarded. I imagined them thinking it was all worth it, telling me how much they loved me. It's just so sad.
And then I think later in that passage, she reflects that what she was imagining wasn't the career, it was just being happy, right?
Happiness, love, safety.
Yeah, that was sad.
I think she's very good at writing those passages. Those passages that moved me reminded me of that section we all loved in Beach Read. There would be music and dancing.
Another bit further on says, if I'm good enough, I'll be happy. I'll be loved. I'll be safe.
That bit also reminded me of Beach Read, where January is reflecting on how she used to try and convince herself that if she was good enough, her mum wouldn't be sick anymore and that kind of stuff. But that passage from Harriet reminded me of that. And that was one of my favourite bits of Beach Read as well. So I quite liked that bit.
There are a couple of quotes I really enjoyed. There's a few funny ones that I really liked as well.
There's so many funny ones.
It is a pretty funny book.
I thought so.
One of my favourite ones was...
I hope it's the same one as what I've got.
Wynne asks her, are you slut-shaming me, Harriet? And she says, not at all. I love sluts. Some of my best friends are sluts. I've dabbled in sluttery myself. And he says, didn't suit you? And she said, never got the chance to find out. And he's like, because you fell in love. And she said, because men never really picked me up. I thought it was so good.
My favourite line was when Wynne wanted to talk to her away from the friends. And you'll have to excuse us, he says, hoisting me out of his lap. This is Harriet's and my song.
I love this bit.
I'm sure I look baffled. Our friends certainly do. He gives me no chance to argue, just grabs my hand and pulls me into the crowd. Sabrina's voice trembling after us. How was Vitamin C's graduation their song? It's so funny.
I had that in my notes. It says exactly that.
As we go.
I really like. He smiles. Flirting never killed anybody, Harriet. Clearly you're unfamiliar with the concept of the Regency era duel, I say.
That was very funny.
And there was also one I really liked. It was so early on when I was like, all right, maybe this could be quite good. On page 12, Parth and I got in last night, she says. Cleo and Kimmy drove up this morning. We've all been sitting on our hands and vibrating, waiting for you to get here. Wow, I say. Things descended into orgy territory pretty quickly. I guess I should have specified we were all sitting on our own hands. There was another quote as well. It's like from Sabrina when she talks about how she decided to get married. And I thought it was just like a nice mantra to live by. But she said, I'm tired of trying to be smart at the expense of my own happiness. And I really liked that message. You can't always be pragmatic about your own happiness. And there was another nice quote that I thought, talking about Cleo. Cleo.
Yeah, it's so hard hearing the word Cleo. No, Cleo.
While she's always shared blunt observations and flippantly self-aware comments about her family life and her past, like, sorry if that came out too strong. It's my child of a narcissist complex. I think I have 30 seconds to make my case before everyone gets bored. It's rarer for her to share happy memories. It's a gift, this bit of tenderness she's brought out to show. It's an honor to be trusted with something so sacred and rare as Sabrina's softness. Oh, an exciting thing. I sounded like the grape lady. You know that lady that's stomping grapes and then she falls over? I don't know if we had a January and Gus cameo in here.
Oh.
Is there some debate about this? Is it not?
No, there's three.
There's three? I only noticed
Emily.
one.
I know, so did I. So there's 3 Emily Henry. They're not all Gus and January.
Oh, okay.
But there are 3 Emily Henry references and 2 of them are linked.
There were a few of them that I thought, I don't think I get this reference. Or like it's meant to be someone.
The first one was a beach read reference on page 97. And they're in the bookshop, which I think is so nice.
I liked that idea.
Bookshop.
Yeah.
Such a vibe. So they're all in there and Cleo says, where are Path and Win? Are they finished? Kimmy shrugs. I passed Path by the fancy books. And Sabrina says he's looking for something the New York Times has described as revelatory. Actually, Path walks up with a paper bag already in hand. I picked this because the Wall Street Journal gave it such a cranky review I needed to read it myself.
King.
It's by this married couple who usually publish separately. Oh my God, our boy and girl.
Yeah.
One of them writes literary doorstop novels and the other writes romance. What? Kimmy snatches the book. I know them. Seriously? Path asks. I went to college with them in Michigan. She says they weren't together yet though. Her books are really horny. Is this one horny? So that was the first one.
Yeah, I
That's
thought
the
that
only
was
one I
beach read.
noticed.
Yeah,
But the other ones were really subtle.
Mm-hmm.
And the next 2 are actually from book lovers. So
Oh,
sorry,
okay,
Erin,
that's
but-
fine. No, that's fine. It makes me feel better.
on page 146, they're talking about when they were living together and they were hooking up but nobody knew. And they would text each other throughout the day. And so he sends pictures of the new mystery releases during his shifts at Freeman's to see if I want them. So Freeman's is the bookstore that Nora goes to with her mother and her sister before her mother passes away. So they always, that's their like family sabbatical trip. It's the same bookstore. And then on page 220, after Path moved in with a friend, Sabrina took over an Amos cousin's vacant Chelsea loft. And Win and I scrounged up enough rent to rent the tiny apartment over the bookstore, which is the apartment where Nora grew up.
Oh.
So they lived in the same house that Nora lived in.
That's a nice touch.
Really subtle. Hey, I didn't even realize until I saw it on TikTok.
Interesting.
So
okay.
cute. What about Win's parents? Have we talked about them?
We haven't talked about them in a lot of detail. But basically, I loved them and I cried basically anytime Hank's name was mentioned.
Yeah, they were really sad.
Something that made me, obviously I was very sad that Hank died, but I think what made me sadder is Harriet finally feeling like this is what I've been missing my whole life and this is what I have been wanting.
Yeah.
Like she says, when she finally goes to Montana and meets them, I feel like I'm finally there, that place I've always wanted to be, the other side of the lit kitchen windows I could see from my childhood, where rooms are filled with love and noise and squabbling. Then Hank comes back after he's taken the suitcases and he says, put you in Wynn's room, Harriet, and I think I've been here 10 minutes and there's a sensation like an inflating balloon in my chest, a pleasant pain like stretching a stiff muscle. And then when Hank does pass away and Wynn gets the news, she is grieving for Wynn's loss, but she's also thinking this is a family I could have had. Now I won't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Which was really sad.
I thought it was really interesting to see the grieving she went through for like a family that technically wasn't hers, but she wanted to be part of so badly. Especially when she has that quote, near the end when she says, when I was a kid, I always felt like I was balanced on the edge of something, like everything was so tenuous and it could all crumble at any second. And when Wynne asks her what she's talking about, she means her family. Like, that's so sad.
Mm.
In a similar way to the way I liked her commentary on finding, like, the family she always wanted, I liked when she talked about what she learnt from her friends. And it's in the first few pages of the book where she says, my best friends taught me a new kind of quiet, a peaceful stillness of knowing one another so well you don't need to fill the space, and a new kind of loud, noise as a celebration, as the overflow of joy at being alive here and now. I thought that was really nice when she talks so much about the silence in her house and how they were only ever loud when they were arguing, and they were only ever arguing with her sister. Like, both silence and noise had negative connotations for her, and it's interesting to see her learn that they can be positive things and should be positive things as well.
Agreed. That was a really nice touch. And then I liked the way she took that to path at the end of the book and was like, Sabrina and I never learned to, like, fight properly. Like, we're both from families where fighting means, like, the end, like you being pushed away kind of thing.
Or more fighting.
Yeah.
She's afraid that you don't want her anymore. I thought that was lovely.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it, but my God, I loved the wicked pisser joke.
I didn't want to understand it. I preferred
I still don't
not
know what it
getting
means.
I'm
going to Google it, though.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to know?
I think it's funnier not to know, but I'd be interested in the context. I think while our producer is
I'll do a live Google.
fact checking,
It literally still makes no sense to me.
Oh, here we go. Okay, the way a person in New England would describe something as being really awesome. Game 4 was wicked pisser. Huh? Wasn't it something to do with the...
I thought it had to do with a fish.
Same.
Sorry, bro. I need you to cover my shift tomorrow. Wicked pisser. Not like I had tickets to the Sox game or anything.
I thought it was a lobster.
I thought it was something about fishing. Wicked pisser.
The term emerged as a pseudo curse word during the Salem witch trials, although it's said to originate in Maine. A dead giveaway that you're talking to a New Englander. Wicked is a general intensifier, often followed by pisser to mean superb.
Interesting.
I'm still so confused.
What was it? Happy birthday, wicked pisser.
Yeah. Happy birthday. Awesome. I loved all the rules around the birthday cake too.
So. Yeah. It was very like before the coffee gets cold. Especially when they're like reflecting on there's so many rules around this and they all just keep coming out. So funny.
The rodeo shirt?
I love that too.
What was it? I can't remember what it was.
I want to go to the fucking rodeo.
I've been
Yeah.
to so many
Fucking
Is that
rodeos.
what it was?
Yeah.
Something about fucking rodeos, yeah.
But it was, this ain't my first rodeo.
And then when she was drunk, she's like, did you bring the shirt? That was so funny.
Oh, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed those moments of, shared history between them. And I think that I really liked the kind of like casual, like familiar, I don't really want to use this word, but like eroticism kind of between them. Like when she was just like sitting on his lap and he was hard, but she wasn't like trying to get anything from him. It wasn't like back of the Uber, like grinding on him that some authors might write. And it was like, I just feel like there was this real sense of like yearning and I feel like my heart was stabbed in so many little moments. Like there was one in one of the earlier chapters, I think maybe when they were all like high on the Ferris wheel, which was a scene I really enjoyed.
I liked that.
Yeah.
I don't normally like things like that, but I thought that was quite cute.
Because it was so like warm and buzzy and like I had fun.
It wasn't just like, let's get lit.
Yeah, it was really like, I don't know. I loved that scene and just the way that they slipped into their old kind of like chumminess and coziness. And there was a line where he says something like blah 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 we can, and it was just like she picks up on it and it's like we, it's no longer we.
I think something I really liked was in the start of the book when she says it's not fair that he's fine, it's not fair that being here with me doesn't feel like having his heart roasted on a spit like it does for me. Oof.
Yeah,
because he seems so fine in the beginning.
Something that made me feel oof, and I wrote kill me. she says, he's a golden boy. I'm a girl whose life has been drawn in shades of grey. I try not to love him. I really try.
Oh. But then, like, I wanted to shake him as well. Like, I think it was about, like, the 200-page mark, and I can't remember exactly what they're talking about, but she's like, you were annoyed at me, or, like, you were angry, and he was like, you could never annoy me. I will always want to be with you. And I was like, oh, what is it then, mate? Like, what do you want? Like, I was getting really riled up after a point.
I think I felt it was a little too long for it to keep going the way it was going. I think the pacing of their week was maybe a bit too slow for me. Because, like you, it was annoying that he was always like, we can't do this. This is wrong. But I could never be mad at you. I'm annoyed. No, I'm not. I'm frustrated. No, I'm not. Like,
maybe they were pushed into it too soon. Like, that scene where she vomits and has the rodeo shirt could have been like the second night. Like, there could have been more discomfort and distance between them. I don't know. Because, I do feel like there was so many, like, we shouldn't, but oh well, one last time kind of scenes.
Yeah, and it kept being like, one last time.
Yeah.
One last time again.
And
one last time for real this time.
And I feel like they did have so many one last times and discussions where they were like, we want to, but we can't. And I kept thinking like, oh, are they back together then? Like,
I kept thinking, why can't you just sort your shit out?
But
this is my favorite bit of these episodes when you're like, why don't they just talk to each other?
It just makes no sense. But I mean, I do understand why he broke up with her, because he is so insecure and he thinks that he's got nothing to offer her. She's a genius. She's worked so hard for her career, and all he wants to do is go live in the bloody mountains and make some tables.
Yeah.
His website sounded really nice.
Yeah.
My little heart was sinking when she was like, oh my God, the beard, the coffee table book, texting, he's seeing someone else. And I was like, oh no.
Me too.
Please, no, God.
I was fuming. I was so sad for her because I thought he had another girlfriend already.
Yeah, he was dead to me.
Fuming, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I rolled at that.
But I was like, he's obviously got someone else. Like, he's always on his phone. What else would he be doing?
I just assumed like his mum was dying or something.
But he was always smiling.
Yeah, I don't know. I found a few other like romantic quotes of theirs that I liked. I liked it when they're in that shared room for the first time and she says, no part of me believes that you struggle with first impressions. And he says, maybe you make me a little nervous. And she's like, yeah, right. And he's like, just because you don't see me grabbing a mop every time you walk into a room doesn't mean I don't notice you're there. I thought that was cute.
I liked their banter.
Me too.
Especially before anything happened. I liked how they were getting to know each other. And
agreed.
Yeah.
And that was a note that I have here as well, because I think something that I enjoyed about the friendship group and something that I dislike about other Emily Henry books is that it feels like they always have to be so like just spitting barbs and like banter, and it's so exhausting. Like they're always so witty, and I really liked that the banter and the fun and like what's the word, levity was like with the friends, but then the moments with Wynne were these kind of like heart-wrenching moments where they were really like open and like gentle with one another. I liked that they kind of started having those conversations straight away and just being nice to one another. At least it wasn't like a bitter kind of, it was a sad breakup.
I felt like they did banter quite a bit, Harriet and Wynne. At some points I found it a bit too much, but I had to remind myself that they were doing that because it was comfortable and because they couldn't talk about the stuff that they had to talk about. But one of the times that they bantered that I really enjoyed is when they're making a bet about how much distance is between the two beds. And she says, well, what do we win? And he said, I don't know. What do you want? She said, you say my name a lot. He said, you hardly ever say mine. That's why I had to get you to say Wynn's what.
Yeah.
It was funny.
So funny. And also that scene that followed when they were like taking steps closer together in the dark. I was like, oh my God.
Something I thought was sweet was when he proposed. It was so like understated.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
And he was like, wait, what, really? Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me do it properly then.
I when you said before you don't see any romance, I feel like there was so much romance because we only got a little bit, but they just felt like they were comfortable and they were like carving out a life for themselves, and like it doesn't always have to be so dramatic. Like they're just living together, and she says, I'm happier than I've ever been before. Don't yet know that there is a level of happiness even deeper, one so intense it hurts, almost like a loss or grief. And then when that comes later that night, when Win goes out to pick up Chinese food, comes back drenched from the rain, and then he just looks at her and says, marry me. It's so nice.
Yeah.
And then over on the other page, after they've said yes and he's gone to get the ring and whatever, she says, I've never pictured my proposal, but if I had, it would have looked something like this. Nothing like this. It wouldn't have ended with us eating the same Chinese takeout we get once a week and making love on the rickety IKEA couch, laughing every time his head collided with the wall, but not moving to the bed. This is better. Everything is better with him.
I really liked that. I really liked when you were, I think, Erin, you were reading out the quote earlier about the friendship and the silence and the noise. I really liked that she was able to paint this, like, I don't know, warm kind of familiarity in a friendship or a relationship without shoving like inside jokes down your throat, or like they were my ride or die. Like, I think like the humor in this really resonated with me. And I think like if you were reading this book not enjoying that kind of humor, then you would feel like a third wheel or like outside of the group or whatever. But it really worked for me. I also, sidebar, I feel like getting cozy during a game of sardines was like a high school goal of mine, and I never achieved it. So I feel like I had some level of that fulfilled. I remember always being like, oh my God, like if we play sardines and I get to be like next to my crush.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I know. I had to Google what sardines
Oh
was.
my gosh.
Oh, you should have told us and we could have like orchestrated a game.
Yeah.
We never knew.
Maybe I'll ask Brown if he wants to play
Yeah.
sardines for like my 30th birthday or something. The Great Sardines Challenge.
Erin, Laura, what are your happy places?
I think mine is easily in the crowd of a concert. I think that's my happy place.
Maybe mine is like on a weekend morning, or like a morning where we don't have to do anything, and I wake up and it's really cozy and Brown is there and I know we're going to get a croissant and a coffee.
That's nice. Mm-hmm. I think my second answer is bed.
Yeah. I was like honestly just thinking like when you pull the blanket up to your eye and you're like, ooh, that's good.
Where's your happy place?
I don't know. I'm pretty easy to please, so I think as long as it's not at work or like getting groceries or like being in a shopping center, anywhere other than those three places would be my happy place. Like if Brian's there, if my friends are there, family's there, pretty happy with anywhere really.
That's nice.
Yeah. Who do you think your favorite character is?
Path.
Oh.
Same. I loved him.
I love him so much. Matching tattoos with Path.
I don't think I can pick. I liked them all. I didn't have a problem with any of them. Which is a nice change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
We should start tracking these stats.
Yeah. Did you have a least favorite character?
Not really.
I think my least favorite character was the guy who was like, that's not how you use wicked pisser on the cake.
The baker.
The baker.
Oh, the doctor that kissed her. He sucked.
Yeah, he was a bit of a dog.
I mean,
Furniture guy? Really?
He's not here. I'm here.
maybe Win.
Yeah, I think my least favorite is Win.
But it's not to say that he's bad. I don't feel like endeared to him the way that I do about the others.
I think I just struggled to see what Harriet saw in him.
I guess she saw like his like patience and like mildness and like stability and stuff, which is something that she never had in her family.
I stand by it. I don't think they should have gotten together again.
My heart would have hurt, but it would have been the kind of hurt that makes me be like 5 stars. I cried.
I think it would have made sense.
I liked they got back together because I think she needed to realize that her current life trajectory is not what she wanted.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And I think she needed him to leave and she needed to give herself permission to not just be a people pleaser.
That's so true, because I think I was really hoping they wouldn't get together up until the point where she like quit her job. And then he was like, don't just come with me. Just think about it. And then she did find something else to do. And then I thought, okay, well, they're learning, they're growing.
And running through the airport, love it. Always love it.
That was enjoyable.
Yeah.
I just think I wish that there was like maybe a time jump or something instead of her deciding like a day after, deciding she didn't want to be a surgeon and then a day after being like, no, I want to be with him and I want to move to Montana.
No, I love it.
I did also really like, as cheesy as I guess it is, the like, it's you in every universe.
It's always you. The talk about the multiverse I really liked, and it reminded me a lot of Everything Everywhere All at Once, if you've seen that.
Mm-hmm. So I guess
it's time.
Lit or shit?
I'm going with lit.
Yeah, I'm going to go with lit too.
You know, I really thought that by the end of the pod I would know if I liked the book or not, and I don't think I do know. I think I liked it more than I didn't like it, so on that basis I'll say lit. It's hard having only a 2-point scale.
Yeah. But if we had a 3-point scale, we'd say, oh, it's hard having only a 3-point scale.
We'll always have mid.
Yeah.
Tit or whatever we said it was.
Mid, tit, whatever.
Mid, that's right.
Yeah, I'll go with lit.
We hope that listening to this episode is a happy place for you. It certainly has been a happy place for us. In the meantime, if you want to be on the same page as us and find out what we're reading next, follow us at talklit.gethit on Instagram and TikTok.